Hi everyone, Coach Sullivan again from MGS Coaching Football. My background, this is my 38th year coaching football. I've either been a defensive, offensive, or special teams coordinator as well as a head coach at both the collegiate and high school levels. This presentation is the complement to the Florida or the field pressure versus one wide receiver. And again, Florida was our cross splits to the big field. Browns begins with the letter B as our boundary version of Florida, meaning it's our cross blitz coming from the boundary. Okay, so I have purposely given you the same formation, a left rip, only now I put the ball in the left hash. So therefore, I'm going to call a blitz from the boundary. I just point to the ground so the kids know right now it's still a lucky. And I'm doing this on purpose because the Florida presentation was a lucky Louis, and so is this one. It's a lucky Louis, okay? So a boundary concept is the same in terms of we need to teach our kids how many wide receivers there are in the formation. And so we have a one wide receiver, two and three wide receiver rule. So we're going to focus in this demonstration on the one wide receiver into the boundary. So again, boundary. Ball needs to be in the hash mark for me to call either a field or a boundary pressure. Okay? You have a defined big field and a defined boundary when the ball is on the hash. And the ball's on the hash a lot during the course of a game. Offenses have tendencies based upon ball in the hash into the boundary to the big field, both just generically into the boundary big field as well as formational, okay? So every game we go into, we have a field boundary game plan, meaning the concept, blitzing from the boundary and blitzing from the field, okay? So in this particular presentation, Brown, so every boundary pressure begins with the B, okay? And I point to the ground so our kids know this is a boundary concept. All right, and then I give them the Brown signal, so I signify the Heisman. Okay, pretty simple. So Browns is our cross blitz, but coming from the boundary. Okay, Florida was our cross blitz, but coming from the big field. Browns is our cross blitz coming from the boundary. So consequently, in our install, we teach Florida and Browns in the same day versus one wide receiver. And in practice, and in walkthroughs, in meetings, we put the ball on the hash and we go through it, okay? So it starts off with it. They're told it's going to be a boundary, so they're all screaming lucky, 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 because it has to be. Right? It's coming from the left. Then, in teaching them with the one wide receiver rule, all boundary pressures versus one wide receiver equal, it's going to be a corner blitz. Okay? The corner is available to blitz. And the reason for that, and we run any of our field boundary pressures from our base 50 front, our normal 3-4 base front. It's a short field, okay? The safety, ball on the hash, boundary safety on the hash, doesn't have far to go, utilizing what we call the clamp technique. So you'll have to see my 3x1 check playlist. Okay, he's going to, on the snap, just work at depth, meaning 12 yards, keeping inside out leverage from 12 yards, hot on number one. He's not coming downhill. Again, see my, excuse me, 3x1 check playlist. Okay. So the name for the corner is simply Colorado, whether it's boundary or field, Colorado. Okay. So this corner of seeing one wide receiver screaming Colorado, which is telling everybody who's blitzing, including the safety, now has to rotate at depth to cover number one hot. And again, don't care if he gets it at 2 yards, rally up and we'll make the tackle. The same for the screw down timing, same points. Is it this? Is it lifting the foot? Same aiming point, butt of the rover, seeing the football, and on the snap, running through the butt. I know it's not looking like that there. I get that, but he's not going to cross the face of the tight end. Running through the butt of the tight end. He's got dive. The defensive end still, it's a lucky, so it's the end. Flash and B, loop and C. Flash and B, loop and C. Flash and B, loop and C, right? Quarterback to pitch. Okay, since it's a lucky, it's going to be a Louis. And I mentioned earlier that to the big field or the safeties align in their normal alignment. So if 2's detached, he's 1 by 12 inside of number 2. So if 2's way out there, so's this safety. Okay? Ball of the hash, safety on the hash. That's the rule, simple. You line up off of number 2, 2's detached, you're 1 yard inside of number 2, okay, from 12 yards, wherever number 2 is. Okay? Again, pretty simple, straightforward. And then trio, see my zone blitz coverage playlist, easy for me to say. I'm not going to get into any of that, but the big coaching point here is when it's a boundary blitz, 1 wide receiver, the corner is executing the blitz. Boom, done. That doesn't change. If Browns is the cross blitz coming from the boundary, Florida is the cross blitz coming from the field. Okay? So again, we try and keep everything simple. Outside linebackers are hot on 2. Inside linebackers are maybe comboing running back to quarterback. Safeties are spinning, right? Since it's coming from the boundary, the corner's executing the blitz, and we're talking 1 wide receiver. And so just for the record, if there is only 1 wide receiver, that's the corner. If there was no wide receivers, meaning it was a tight end, guess what? It's still the corner. Nothing changes. To us, 1 wide receiver is the same as no wide receivers. Okay? Anything beyond that, the more there are, that has to be 2 or 3, right? 1 or 0 is the same to us. So the same person executes the call. Okay? So as always, please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at CoachMJSullivan@gmail.com, and I could talk football with you all day.